Hello everyone, this is June, and this is the behind the scenes video for the Shiva Savage Pickup Guide. And I hope you guys enjoyed the guide itself. It took a little bit longer than I expected to. There's a lot more work than I anticipated. I'm happy to be done with it. I pretty much decided that I would make a full guide around, pretty much a couple days after the first clear. I was like, wow, this is definitely a fight that would benefit from having a lot of diagrams. It would make some of the mechanics just very trivial, right? If it was shown off like that. I think one of the contributing factors to me wanting to make this guide was like, while I was thinking about like, I could definitely make a guide for this, is that I had a couple songs in mind already. Right? I was like, oh shit, I should like pick these songs for this. I think it'd be a great fit. I'll say it here, but I'm actually not that big of a fan of the fight itself. Like Shiva, E8S, I'm not really a big fan of the fight itself. I think it's one of the, overall, I think this tier is one of the weaker tiers in terms of fun factor. The foundation of the tracks I picked were from a series of games called E8S Pickup. It's a shmup series made by Cave. So yeah, so the first track I picked was this a song called Fort City, and it's the arranged version of it. So the original version of that song doesn't sound like that in the game. It's a little bit more blippy. So like, not chiptunes, but it's a little bit more like synthesizer-y. Like I kind of did this in Ramu too, where it's like I would pick songs that were like related to each other, but were kind of like remixes of each other. Ramu, I picked for the opening song Akatsuki's theme. It's the theme of the main character. That game is a pretty unknown like doujin game, right? It's like an indie Japanese fighting game. He eventually cameoed in a more recent fighter called Unib, Under Night in Birth. Like it's the theme song from Akatsuki. It's like this new guitar cover. So I thought that was really cool. It would have been really cool to like connect those together, and they have a similar sound, right? So it's like I wanted to combine like old with the new. The actual E8S fight is like it opens up with the original Shiva Phase 1 song, right? The really somber one. And then like in original Shiva it jumps to, you know, Oblivion, right? The rock heavy one. But in Refulgence they played around with that, and then after the original Shiva song it jumps to this new track, original track, right? So I wanted to do something similar, so when it goes to Phase 2 I wanted to pick something like either a remix of Fort City or something that felt similar, but there was this track Hatred that had Fort City in there combined with other songs. So I thought it was just kind of a cool accident, I guess. Oh yeah, so as far as the art goes, I think this is the video I made the most illustrations for, I think. And then like the hair separate so you can see the bald. Like, I had a good idea of what I wanted to animate, but if I wasn't sure, I still like separated just in case. And then I really wasn't sure if I was gonna even make the Heidelin version of Shiva, but I figured like I was already making these, I might as well, right? It's gonna look a little weird for a little bit as I re-hide these layers, or configure these layers. Where's the face? There we go. And then, yeah, so we have each long strand is separate. And then I added like a wavy animation to them in the final. From the get-go, I wasn't a very big fan of that strat either. I actually really tried to not use that strat. How it turned out was like, it was just very difficult for the party to fill for Light Rampant if you didn't have Ilya listed. You can make a PF for non-Ilya and you would wait there for like 2-3 hours, right? And that was just like 2-3 hours of prog you could have had, right? If you open up to PF and it was like 50% Ilya and then 50%, I don't know, let's say Xeno, right? Then I would be like, yeah, I would definitely show both, right? Because then there's a point to show both, because it makes sense to know both. And to go further back, I think people make the comparison for line strat. There's a kind of a big division for strats there too. So I don't know who did it, but it was some next level galaxy brain strat. It was called line strat, and it was like legitimately by far the best strat for that mechanic. The thing with that strat was it caught on very early. So there's two factors: that like it was early enough and people were actually doing it to the point that if you check PF, there'd be like a discrepancy of like someone's doing line strat, someone's doing DPS in or out, right? And then eventually the lesser ones kind of like died out, or like maybe not died out, but like it became like less frequent. In PF you would actually see people using it, right? It was actually being pushed, right? But I didn't see that for Ilya. Ilya just stayed, and if you made parties that were not Ilya, they would not fill, right? So it was not quite the same situation. I like Xeno's strat a lot. If I was to choose a light rampant strat to include into the video, if it was like a guy based on my preferences, it'd be the Xeno up bracket time. I'd put that in. Yeah, next time let's definitely, if it comes down to it, if it's another situation like this, let's do our best to push the good strat, right? That way we're not complaining about it three months later into the tier. This video I think had the most diagrams total compared to all the other videos. Even Titan had a lot, but Ramu and Varus had much less in comparison. But Shiva, I think a total of like 14 or something. I don't want to count right now, but I want to say let's say like 14 plus, right? Man, there's a lot of unique explosions. There's a lot of little like puddles and stuff. So it's like, and there's a lot of debuffs happening. So there's just a lot of little things to sync and keep up with that made GIFs like this very time consuming. There's like just no shortcut for this, right? A lot of this was very manual, proteins, right? So, but I think at the end of the day we have a very good looking Ilya GIF, right? Yeah, but I think it was worth it. It was worth every minute spent. It ended up looking very pretty. So like in static, we go to the phase and we're just we're just like cleaning up. We're just dusting our hands like, and we're just chatting in Sage chat, business as usual, right? And then we're done waiting for that phase to end, and then we're just staring at the Aether gauge, and it's like it goes from like 0 to 25 and 50. Or like we're like, uh-oh. Or our teammate just like Team B, classic Team B move.